All right, so we're moving on now to our next spot inside of small batch we're going to shoot. This is spot number 3, and there's something about this bar that I really like. It's a very interesting perspective as you look down this. The glassware is great. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on in this particular spot, so I thought it'd be a nice place for us to shoot a couple of dishes. I've moved everything around quite a bit. I've got my big Octobox. This Chimera is up high, it's in back, and it's coming right at the camera. So what I'm doing is I'm creating all this reflection. I love the glassware that's on here. In fact, it was further back on the bar, and I moved all the glassware up. I moved the bitter bottles and the things that they use to mix cocktails. I moved them further up onto the bar so I could start to get some of these nice reflections. I really like this bar angle and I want to maintain it, but it's kind of hard from this perspective. So I may kind of shift around a little bit. The food is looking cool. I want to make it even more heroic. And I need to do something with that white space because it's a little bit kind of dead. The other thing that I've got going on is I've got 2 fill lights. I've got a Hensel that's just bouncing into a 4x8 V-flat in order to kick in light on the back part of the bar. And I've got another Hensel that's inside of a medium box. This is a fairly small Octobox. It's just a mid-size one. And that's giving me a fill light on my food. So that I got those 2 things going in to kick light in so the shadows don't get too harsh. Let's go ahead and refine this one quite a bit. All right, that's starting to look nice. I like what's going on. I really dislike the highlight that's happening in the wine glass. That I might have to take care of in post because I'm just going to get that hot highlight coming off of this Octobox. But I got to have it there. It's got to fill in. So last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my lens hood because that main light is glaring right into my lens. I'm shooting with my 85 and I'm again on the Mark IV, so I've got that 1.3 crop sensor. That's giving me a little bit of extra telephoto properties out of the 85. It's a really nice lens though, so I'm going to stick with it. One of the things that's nice about the leaf holders is these gates come up and then you can adjust them. You can extend it out because right now I know that that's still going to glare. So that's giving me a lot of protection from stray light. Should really increase the contrast and make the image much nicer. All right, not bad. Let's make some fine adjustments here and see what we get. So I just want to add a few things going down the bar to give it a little bit of additional length. Adding a few things is going to help give me a little bit more dimension in this guy. I don't want to go too far, so I'm going to be careful with it. That's kind of nice. Now I've totally lost that front edge. I got to bring some of it back because it's cool. All right, I think that's much nicer. I like the fact that we just get a little bit of this front edge. Without it, it doesn't have nearly the same dimension. It just feels a little bit flat. Yeah, I think we just have to have that. This is looking kind of cool. I want to finesse this a little bit more. Needs a couple things in there to kind of break up that area. I want to bring that water in a little bit. And I think I also need to raise my camera because I think on this I'm just a little too low now. So I'm going to come up just a bit. One of the things I'm noticing right away is that the chef went ahead and garnished this in the kitchen. These things are these risotto balls, and they're really not going to change their shape, but the garnish is already starting to die. So I'm going to get some that's fresh from him in a few minutes once I've got the set completely done. That's something you want to keep an eye on because if you spend time and you finesse this whole set, get it exactly how you want, but then you didn't pay attention to something like a garnish and it's limp, it's really going to look bad in that final image. So make sure you think about that stuff as you're going through the process of working with an image. Okay. So what I'm looking to do right now is change a few of the things that are on the surface. I like that water bottle, but it's creating a weird shadow on the inside of it. That's something that I can easily retouch. The other thing I wanted to do is bring a foreground element kind of out of focus a little bit, so I brought that water in. I'm going to knock it in a little bit more to the left, and I'm going to bring the wine right on top of it. So both of those things are in the foreground and out of focus. So what I'm doing, even though if you look at this set, like from this point of view, it almost looks ridiculous. We've got the food here, silverware is kind of to the left, the drinks are over here, the water's down here. You would never have this much space that you're taking up in a restaurant. But from the camera perspective, it makes sense. You see all those elements, one's out of focus, goes into focus with the food, back out of focus with the elements. So we're kind of playing with that spatial relationship and creating a sense of environment. So one of the things you'll notice, back here on this wine glass, when it was totally sharp, I had a gross highlight. Remember that's the highlight from that fill-in box that's just really bugging me. And I was going to try to fix it in post. In reality, I don't like where that glass of wine is positioned anyway because it's way too sharp. I don't want that to be sharp. This is not a wine shot. This is a food shot. So to me, the food should be hero, and the wine and whatever cocktail or just water should be out of focus. It should complement but not take away. So in the very next shot where we brought it forward, just took it out to the edge, it got nice and soft. There's just a hit of it. You know it's a wine glass. That gross highlight's gone. We've got something that's much nicer, and again, visually, it's going to push the eye in. Now, my eyes are kind of going back here, particularly to this dark bottle. I want to finesse that a little bit, and I think I need to put something back down on the other side to kind of counterbalance it, because right now it's a little bit heavy. So let's take a quick look and see where we are, and then we'll fine tune this beast. That's better. Just putting in a different bottle. There's a label on it that's cool. It's out of focus. You can't tell what's going on. There is, however, a tangent that I hate. You guys have heard me talk about tangents all the time. That label is right on the edge of that water glass. It's just way too close. Either it needs to intersect it completely or go the opposite direction. So these are details that I think are really important that you just don't want to miss. All right, so I'm taking a little creative license here and just playing with a few things. I just want to kind of, again, play up the feel of this place. So remember, we're picking 4 different locations to shoot in this restaurant, and what we want to do is create these small little environmental portraits of the restaurant. So we've got these little kind of environmental settings scattered throughout. By doing this in multiple locations, we're really giving the viewer a sense of the entire restaurant. We're giving it a lot more depth. It looks like a much larger place than it actually is in reality because we're showing different scenes within the same place. It will paint a full picture, so if somebody goes to the website and they look through these images, they're going to get a really good sense of the entirety of the restaurant and not just one little spot where you go in and take a bunch of shots. So that's something that you might want to think of as you're talking to a restaurateur, and you might want to really suggest to them, hey, let's not shoot everything in one location because it's not going to give your viewers or your customers a sense of the entire restaurant. At the end of the day, the restaurateur will really appreciate it if you take the time to go through his restaurant and look at multiple places where you can create these environmental settings. All right, I like this. This is feeling really good to me. So I've played around with the knife and fork quite a bit. I brought the knife over the edge. I like that. It's a cool little touch. I think I'm going to bring the food a little bit closer, and I might do the same with the water and the wine. I'm going to do that just for focus. Now my garnish is really starting to wilt, and the pickled okra is also starting to get kind of dried out, so I'm going to want to hit it with a little bit of moisture. I like it. And I really like where the background is. It's hot, it's kind of moody as the light's coming through. It's cool. All right, so I used the loop tool, just double check my focus. I was slightly back focused. I want to bring it forward a little bit. Much nicer. It gets these guys in focus, which is cool. And honestly, I don't think that garnish is looking too bad. I think it's all right. All right, one more adjustment and I think I'm done. Okay, so the last thing I did, all of a sudden I was seeing this, and that is the plate reflected into the water glass. Didn't love it. I just knocked the plate to the left just a little bit. Kind of brought everything a little bit more center, and it took that little bit of a kind of shadow out to the side. That's it. I like it. I'm going to shoot this. So again, to recap, I've got 3 lights on here this time. Earlier I was just using one as a fill when I was using the natural light coming through the window. When we did the overhead shot, we just used 2 lights, and now we've used 3 because I've had to bounce a 3rd light into my 4x8 V-flat in order to get some additional light to light up this bar. So have a few lights in your arsenal. You don't really want to show up to a place like this with only 1 light, particularly if it breaks and you're totally out of luck. Always have backup and always have more than you need. It's just better to err on the side of being safe than sorry, right? So make sure you got enough lights to cover the job.